What's going on YouTube, it's AyoRichie here and I'm back with another video. This is a very different one. As you can see, we got the full cam, you know, glazing. Yeah, I just wanted to sit in front of the camera and just talk. I don't know what I'm gonna call this kind of series. It might be a hot take to some, it might not be, but I just want to talk about, you know, these newer games. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not, you know, the most well-renowned fighting game player when it comes to multiple fighting games, but there is a game that I play called Pokemon, like in competitive singles. So I just wanted to think about these two different games, Tekken and Pokemon, yeah. And this might sound bizarre to a lot of people. Obviously, I've played a decent amount of, you know, the new Gen 9 stuff in Pokemon, and you know, they've got the whole new terrestrialization stuff as well. It just kind of got me thinking, when these characters are going into heat and stuff, if you really look at it, like, there's Pokemon that will terrestrialize, and that, you know, that change to that Pokemon will literally change how the Pokemon, you know, is played, right? Let's say, for instance, a Clodsire becomes like water type, and now it has, you know, a neutral defense against ground types instead of it being super effective, stuff like that. So then you're forced to wait a second. You don't even know if it's going to change to that, first of all, so you have to give away a turn in order to have that information, or you guess, right? So in Tekken, when a character obviously goes into heat from either a heat engager or a heat burst, obviously this is two different scenarios and two different frame advantage situations, but when that happens, you know, the game is just flipped on its head completely, and you as the competitive player, like you don't know how your opponent's gonna like play out their heat, right? You don't know what they're gonna do, really. You can try your best to try and deal with it. You know, power crushes don't work against heat smashes and stuff like that, which is, you know, ridiculous, because you basically have no defense mechanism at that point. You have to just hold back, or you have to try and interrupt them somehow, which is risky, super risky. It forces mad interactions, and like, I want to use another example in Pokemon. So like Enamorus with Choice Scarf, if this mon uses Stellar Terrestrialization, all of their attacks become buffed. If you don't have a Pokemon available that can deal with that damage buff from on all of its attacks, all of its separate attacks, you know, Earth Power, Moonblast, all of this, then you're screwed. Like, that is all there is to it. Like, Pokemon is a game, you get 6 Pokemon, you know, your team might not be ready for this one set of Enamorus that is just, you know, super strong, and it will go for so many other things. But like, let's say you're playing your main character, I'm playing Leo versus King. Like, King will hit me with a like forward 1+2 maybe, or forward 2 into crouch throw, heat engage, and then now I'm thinking about so many different things, like what play can I make that is going to benefit? Everything just feels like a risk. In Pokemon, you know, there's situations in Pokemon where it's like that as well. It's like, if I switch out to this Pokemon, what is this Pokemon in front of me going to do? You know, are they going to terrestrialize into a type, you know, predicting my switch, you know, using a Terra Blast or something? Like, why are the games so similar? Why is Pokemon so similar to Tekken? Like, it's actually mind-boggling. It's actually mind-boggling. To some, you might think I'm just waffling for the sake of a video, but like, I'm really thinking about it. Like, all of these games, because like before terrestrialization and stuff like that, the game was more balanced. Like, you could say it's more balanced, like fully. So it's the same with Tekken. Like Tekken 7, there was broken characters, there was Akuma, whatever, but the game still had some form of balance, and you'd still have to play strategically in order to get a W. But in Pokemon, you know, there's so many overpowering strats that can just throw you off at any point, that it's like the competitive integrity is just like, you know, it's just not there. And it's the same in Tekken. Like, it's actually mind-boggling. Like, I just thought I would just speak about it because I genuinely think it's crazy. Like, it's actually crazy. Like, this heat mechanic has made things so much about, you know, interaction versus interaction, that like, trying to strategically outplay your opponent is like secondary, basically. So another example in Pokemon, you're using a belly drum user, like, I don't know, Azumarill with, I don't know, a Salak Berry, and obviously, you know, that gives you a speed boost, whatever. So how are you to know that if you hit them below 25%, they're gonna get this speed boost and then destroy your entire team? Like, fair enough, it's a niche thing, right? It's a niche thing that, you know, won't work all the time. But what about that one time that it works, and then you've just beaten Arzanesh, you've just beaten Knee? Like, this is the type of stuff we're dealing with playing competitive Tekken at the moment. It's in such a difficult spot, and it's such a tough game to play at the moment, I feel like. Like, listen, I know I'm not, you know, Knee, Arslan, these guys that win tournaments regularly, like cool. But as someone who's trying to, you know, strive and become a player of that caliber, like on the back end of Tekken 7, I had some insane results, like 9th in Evo Las Vegas, top 8 in Tiger Uppercut, which is almost unheard of for like a European player, you know, to go over to Asia and do that well. I was getting to a point in that game, Tekken 7, where, you know, I was finding form, like I was consistent, so many 9th places, you know, some online tournament wins, obviously if you care about online. You know, I did my bit in terms of trying to become consistent and compete with the best players. And now in Tekken 8, all of that is it's just sailed away. It's just sailed away. There's so many broken characters that you have to deal with, so many different players playing these broken characters you have to deal with. Like, not everyone's gonna play the same. What are we playing? Are we playing Pokemon? Are we playing new Gen 9 Pokemon in Tekken? Like, what are we doing? I can't speak on behalf of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, but like the similarities are scary. When you run into these scenarios in like Pokemon, when you run into these scenarios in Tekken 8, it's practically the same stuff, but the only difference is, you know, in Tekken you're moving around, whatever. But like that, the moving around part doesn't matter because there's so many situations that, you know, are anti-movement. Let's use Eddie as an example. He's just come into the game. For whatever reason, he's down forward 1 and back 1 are homing. There is no movement. It's ridiculous. There's no movement. You know, when the game first came out, everyone was like, movement is so much better, sidestepping is so much better, all of this, all of that. But like, it's just not the case. It really just isn't the case. Yeah, I just thought I would talk about this because like this is 2 games that I play, and you know, I've listened to like, you know, the Heat Speak podcast that had Speed Kicks, Joey Fury, Arslan Ash, Joker, obviously set up by Spag, I believe, Super Akuma, and they were just talking about how the game is for noobs, and you know, it's just so easy, you don't have to use neutral buttons. And like an example again with Pokemon, like I don't know, you would play a slow game using U-turn, volt switch, all of this type of stuff, you know, switching out, trying to outplay your opponent. But like really further back in the day, there'd be baton pass, there'd be stuff like that, you know, you're really trying to use strategic things with your team in order to outplay your opponent. In Tekken, it was using pokes in order to create whiffs, you know, setups like forcing your opponent to, like, I don't know, if you think they're gonna step, you would use a move to counter that step in that moment. Not just throw out a move that will beat stepping, hit their backdash, all of this like a heat smash from Devil Jin. Like it wasn't about that. Some characters had stuff like that, cool. You know, you had brain dead moves like Noctis forward 1+2, Josie FF4, which obviously that had a bit less range, but like you get the point. Like moves like that, counter hit launchers, homing, full screen, set 2 from Kunimitsu, stuff like that. Them moves were there, cool, but like those were not the core, you know, moves to throw out in the game. Like you could use them a lot, sure, but there was a lot more of the move list to kind of mess about with and make work in certain scenarios. Yeah, like the way the games are developing is nuts, because with Pokemon, I feel like, you know, the new Pokemon competitive, playing singles specifically, because I don't play doubles, is like, you know, you just want to set up, like catch your opponent off guard, like with some kind of setup thing, and then just destroy them. Like that's it. It's not really, okay, you turn into this mon, and then I might substitute, you know, they might use a Will-O-Wisp, they might, you know, they might try burn me, they don't know if I have sub, all of this type of stuff. Like that stuff is just like secondary basically, and I don't play it that passionately to the point where I feel like, you know, I can explain every detail of a Pokemon battle, like competitive singles. Like I can't, but from what I have played and experienced, you know, I know that this isn't the case, and this is like not even high ladder on, you know, Pokemon Showdown. So it's just nuts that I can compare Pokemon to Tekken. Now we had the Pokken game, or that was whatever. I don't really know people that played it like that, to be honest. But like, we really are at a point now where you can make a Pokken game and make it super similar to Tekken 8, because you throw out your biggest move, it's probably plus on block, it probably tracks, you know, your opponent has to deal with it in some regard. Or if your character doesn't have that, you know, there'll be a time in the game where you activate heat and you go crazy, right? So what is the difference between that and terrestrializing your water type into a fire type, hitting, you know, Terror Blast, and the opponent just dies? Like that is the equivalent. It's literally the equivalent. Like you have the counter to the water type, right? Then they terrestrialize into a fire type without, like, you can't anticipate this unless you're super experienced. But then even then, it doesn't matter, because it's like, it's almost random. Like, they can be any type. Terrestrialization is any type. They can change to any type they like. So you cannot be ready for that one interaction. Like, you can try and mitigate every single risk possible, like what you think it might be, and then go to this what you think is the safest play, but then you can still die for it. So this goes hand in hand with like defensive play in Tekken 8. Like, you can try and minimize every single risk, but you can still die to like Devil Jin Heat Smash, King Heat Smash. You've blocked it, he's then running at you, and then you have to take another mix. There is no strategy against blocking the King's Heat Smash and then not eating the quick elbow. Like, there's none, because you will eat the low every single time. And if you have, let's say, enough health to the point where the low is going to kill you, you just have to guess. The name of the game is guess. The name of the game in Tekken is guess. The name of the game in Pokemon is guess. What terrestrialized type are they going to be? Yo, listen, I thought I'd bring you like this fun video, you know, switches it up from the usual. Just thought I would talk about it. Obviously, there's a lot of people that play Tekken and Pokemon, you know, collectively. So yeah, I just thought I'd get in front of the camera and just speak about how I'm feeling about the game, because like, it's been very difficult to play for the reasons mentioned. You know, a lot of the top players are like, the game's bad and all of that. Like, they're not enjoying it. Like, I don't want to be the guy to be like, yo, the game's bad, you know, we shouldn't be playing this game, because we should be playing this game. Like, when the game first came out, everyone was loving it. You know, give it like 2 weeks, the game was sick. Everyone was like, yo, this might be the best fighting game ever. And then as it went on further and further, we saw how broken Dragunov was. We saw how silly Reina's FF2 was, Azusena's running 3-2, all of this type of stuff. You know, eventually it's gonna wear on you when you're trying to compete against players that you might not lose to, usually in like Tekken 7, but then you lose to them in Tekken 8 every time. And it's like, what is the counterplay? And there isn't any. And they're trying to bring out balance changes, and the new patch they just brought out is, what was that? They practically broke the game trying to change one character's situation. Honestly, like, playing Tekken 8 is very difficult at the moment. So anyways, I thought I'd bring you lot a fresh video, just speaking differently about the game, just explaining, you know, just how the newer games are just like, they're so similar. Like, when you really deep it, they're so similar. Like, you're just put in scenarios where there isn't really much you can do, but if you luckily get out of that scenario, you have a chance of winning. That's it. Like, if you put your opponent in that scenario, they might luckily get out of it and win. Like, you know, the name of the game is luck. The name of the game is luck when you really deep it. There's gonna be people that think, like, have a controversial, you know, feeling towards this video if they watch it, but I don't know. I don't feel like I'm lying. I feel like this is just it. You know, this is the time that we're in. You know, they want a lot of people to be playing and having fun and beating top players and all of this. That's cool, you know. But we just have to see how the game develops and whether it changes or not. And yeah, if you like the video, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna try and play Tekken 8 as much as I can, but it's pretty tiring at the moment. But anyways, everyone, hope you're enjoying Tekken 8. As hard as that was for me to say, I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, take it easy, everyone. Peace.